And here for Friday, we are just continuing to review our possessive forms. And on this page here on Think B, the good thing is that you have your noun in parentheses. And I always love that because you can just take a peek at the noun and add to it. So the first thing you should be doing is reading the sentence, and read the sentence completely before you decide what kind of form your noun should take. So here it says, are these blank toys? And our noun is Doug. So it would make sense to say, are these Doug's toys? But how would you write that? Are we talking about more than one Doug? No, just one. So we would write the singular possessive because we're only talking about one. And the singular possessive form, possessive meaning something belongs to Doug, in this case toys, apostrophe S. Are these Doug's toys? So you're going to do the same thing with numbers 2 through 10. I again encourage you to use page 144 and 145 because we have done many exercises and we have reviewed quite a bit. Here on Remember C, you're filling in correct answers. Now, this one might be tricky, but it won't be as much if you go back and read some rules. So don't be afraid to go back in your book and read the rules for apostrophes and pronouns, nouns, and possessive forms. So here it says, an apostrophe is used to show blank or relationship. Now, that means you'd have to go back to when we first learned about apostrophes because it will tell you what apostrophes are used for. And then possessive pronouns never have an. They never have what. Now, I'm not going to answer these for you because they are all in your book. However, if you do need extra help, I will be more than happy to go over it with you over Zoom or small group. But try your best to read each one, even if you don't know them all, and find them within the unit. And we're going to continue on one more page here for Friday because it is a continuation of apostrophes. As you can see, more practice with commas and apostrophes. And we're not learning anything new here, but it is always good to practice. It says for Think A to place needed commas in the sentences. So in this case, you're not going to focus on the apostrophes. You're going to focus on commas, just like we did for our letter earlier this week, except our letter also required apostrophes. But the week before we left for spring break, we did quite a bit of practice on using commas correctly, especially on dates and after certain adjectives. And also when you're talking about more than two nouns in a sentence. So my best advice would be for you to read these sentences out loud to yourself and then add in the commas because it is usually the case that you will hear yourself pause, and the commas are a signal of pausing in a sentence. On Think B, it says on notebook paper to rewrite the following contractions and possessives, inserting needed apostrophes. And then on the same paper, write sentences for numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, and 8. So I'm just going to go ahead and circle 1, 3, 5, 7, and 8. And I suggest you do the same as a reminder. So notice here how these contractions and possessives are all missing apostrophes. So remember, inserting needed apostrophes. So all you're going to do at first is just write all the words with the apostrophes placed correctly, and then write a sentence for just these 5. It doesn't even want you to do one for all of them. And lastly, for Think C, you're going to label these words S for singular. Remember, singular is all by itself. P for plural, more than one. SP for singular possessive means something belonging to the one noun. Or double P for plural possessive meaning it belongs to more than one. And as I've said several times this week, starting on Tuesday, we practiced quite a bit. So feel free to go back to page 144 and 145 for some hints here. And here for Friday's assignment, we have two descriptive passages about Earth's hemispheres. So it says, read the paragraphs, write the missing syllable or syllables to complete each underlined word. So these are going to be easier than our usual Friday assignments because it's already going to give you part of the word. You just have to finish the rest of the word. So I'm going to actually go ahead and read the passage to you, of course without the answers, but because there's hints, I'm sure that you'll be able to determine the answers quickly. Of course, if you're still having a little bit of trouble reading cursive, I strongly encourage you to practice and use the list anyways, especially as you have been studying cursive quite a lot already. But of course, you have your regular manuscript, pattern words, content words, and vocabulary words at the beginning of our list. So our first paragraph here is called Special Seasons, and it says, a common misconception is that the seasons are caused by the Earth's distance from the sun. This is not true because there is not blank change in the Earth's yearly orbit. The slightly elliptical orbit, only rough blank, varies by 3% throughout the year. God made the Earth to rotate on an axis blank through its poles and to revolve around the sun. Seasons are primarily determined through the in blank of the Earth's axis and the sun's heat. When the northern blank is tilted toward the sun, it receives the most heat energy and experiences summer, while the southern hemisphere is experiencing winter. The seasons of fall and spring take place in between these occurrences. Isn't it amazing how God can unblank all things in our solar system so they relate in perfect conjunction with one another? So just make sure that you understand there is already part of the word for you. So this isn't one word and it's asking for another. This is actually part of the list word. The second paragraph says how many hemispheres? And it says the word hemisphere means half of a sphere. One would assume that the Earth had only 2 spheres, but on closer in blank, Earth really has 2 hemispheric pairs, the northern and southern hemispheres and the eastern and western hemispheres. The Earth is divided in half by the blank. The equator is blank from the north and south poles and equally divides Earth into the northern and southern hemispheres. The blank gives the location of a place that is north or south of the equator. The long blank gives the location of a place that is east or west of the prime meridian, a designed point of reference for longitudes which is located in Greenwich, England. The eastern and western hemispheres are divided by blank. This system of geometrical coordinates was established to designate a location coordinate and time reference of a particular place on Earth. So I hope that reading it out loud helped, but just make sure that you're completing the syllables of all your list words here.